Hello everyone, welcome to my Let's Play series of Dishonored, the Brigmore Witches. I was gonna say it's a brand new Let's Play series, but really it's a continuation of the Knife of Dunwall, and obviously from the main game. I got links for you in the description for the playlists for those two things, and if you are here because you came from there, then you don't need to check those links. You just need to accompany me in a new game. This is a blind playthrough. Unlike the main game, this is a blind playthrough because it's the first time I'm playing the DLCs, and I think this is the ending of the story that the first game tells. And obviously we're following the adventures of Dowd, the killer. Oh! I can choose Master Assassin now. Sure, go for it. Sure. You've been ill at ease ever since you assassinated Empress Jessamine Caldwin and aided in the abduction of her daughter, Emily.
He knew.
He did?
The black-eyed bastard knew that when my blade stilled the Empress's heart and delivered her daughter to the Lord Regent's men, everything would fall to pieces. He watched me do it anyway. And now the world's gone mad. Plague grinds the city down. Corruption rots. A mad killer roams the streets by night, seeking revenge. The overseers have stormed my hideout in the flooded district. And I'm in a strange duel with a mad witch named Delilah for the fate of the Empire. I'd say I was being punished, but I know that the world doesn't punish wicked people. We make our choices and take what comes. And the rest is void. I can't say I wasn't warned.
It's fine. We're doing a stealth run.
The men are recovering well from the attack, but they don't understand the danger they're in. My mother warned me never to make an enemy of a witch. Corvo, here to settle our debt. You understand, I won't make this easy for you.
Wait! No! So this, we're reliving the, hey! Oh my god, that was so much damage. What do I have here? Blink. Come on. Oh, he flies. Ooh. He also parries, which I am very much not happy about. He parries like nobody's business. Nice.
What is it?
Thomas has returned with the information you requested. He's waiting for you below.
Wait, that was a dream? I got a bunch of things in here. Corrupted bone charms. Corrupted bone charms are powerful bone charms that come with a cost. Locate them like normal bone charms, but listen for the quote song unquote they emit, or with the void gaze power, equip them in bone charms tab, or in the bone charms tab of the journal. Why did you bother telling me that? Because it's just a normal thing, isn't it? I need to look at our stuff. What is giving me... It's downstairs. There's books. All of the books. But that thing is making noise and it upsets me. Don't talk to me. That's my previous equipment. And now we can use the stop time. Lovely. Lovely. Really good. Really, really good. Okay. And then also bone charms. Let's see. Undertaker. Strong arms. Tough skin. And let's go with the water of life. Even though I don't think I need it. Or any of those. Or, well, the second two. I don't need them. Okay. Let's see what these books have for me. Cobbled bits of bone. They say my mother was a witch, but the truth, as is so often the case, depends on perspective and your place in the world. She relied on poisons made from exotic herbs and the blowfish that live in the reef waters near Pandasia. Her power originated in hallucinogenics delivered through guile or by force by those who crossed her. There was an unusual intensity in her gaze for certain, but it came from within, not from the outsider. It's what happens to anyone pushed to the absolute edge of sanity and survival, who stays there for years then returns to walk among the sheep in so-called civilized society. My mother was crafty, but if it was anything more than powers, hidden knives and guile, I never saw it. Like they tell children, some of those truly touched by the black-eyed bastard, capital B, can move through the space between rooftops like a sparrow. Others command armies of rats or poisonous flies as easy as they wrinkle their fingers and toes. The overseers are right to fear us, to warn the common folk to stay near their houses at night and keep their families close. But there are other ways his influence, capital H, manifests itself. Those who serve me share in some of what I can do, and I suspect it is the same for Delilah Copperspoon's coven. Then there are those who can craft runes and charms. The old woman across town. They call her Granny Rags. She carves and polishes the bones of whales, stringing them together and opening them to the void until they moan like the fever sick on a cold night. I've found a few of her talismans, and with each one I touched, a tiny piece of me departed and settled in with a her. What does she gain? A longer life? Some other kind of power I don't understand? The making of such things is beyond me. I've known 4 people in my time who carried the mark of the outsider, capital M, capital O, but I've known dozens more who wanted it, who stood at night in stagnant ponds or begged with the dust blowing through graveyards. People who gutted farm animals or burned the flesh of men, thinking it would call forth the void. I met a dying man once who had collected runes and charms for years. He crushed them all into powder, made a paste and ate them, thinking he would gain whatever magic was in the things. His death was long and painful. I also knew, possibly unrelated to the eating of bones, I also know a woman from Karnaka who would trade for charms and other bits of whalebone. She cracked them apart and fused them back together, then sold them. I bought one of these corrupted charms that she swore would cause sharp metal to break on my skin, and it worked. But each time it did, one of my teeth turned black and fell out. After the 3rd time, I gave it to, possibly also unrelated to the charm, after the 3rd time I gave it to one of my men. Now when he smiles, it's all bleeding gums, and I wonder what parts inside him are turning black. Sometimes I ask myself, without these gifts, would I be a man to fear? Would I be called the Knife of Dunwall, capital K, capital D, with my name whispered through the markets and the alleyways, the high towers and drawing rooms? I'd like to think so, but it really doesn't matter. As long as I bear this mark, capital M, I'll use whatever craft I have to force my will on the world. The harder trick is undoing what I've done. Yeah, I don't think there's any undoing what you've done. The Reclamation of Dunwall. Dunwall, the seat of power in the known civilized world, the Empire of the Isles. It is our great capital, and it has been brought low by vermin, the very thought galls. We are faced with the reality that our once great city is in a state of shambles. and the few remaining domiciles in any habitable condition are the estates of those wealthy enough to ward themselves against that reality. A city cannot continue to thrive, populated by only the upper classes and their cloistered sycophants. Even if the plague were gone tomorrow, in its present state Dunwall doesn't have enough hardy people of working age to return the city to everyday function. We must find a way to attract more residents, which requires removing the cloud of fear brought about by the current regime. The Lord Regent, capital L, capital R, and his lackeys are bad for business, my friends. So it falls on us. A plague and a tyrant must be overcome. And after that we must undertake a third miracle, turning the screws on the obscenely wealthy, forcing them to pay back into the place that has given them their privileged lives. It is the powerful and fortunate who must pay for the rebuilding of Dunwall, even if the poorest will bear the stones and timbers of reconstruction on their backs. All this must happen for the dormant machine of commerce to restart. Without that, we are all forfeit, and the greatest city of our age will be lost. Let it all be forfeit, then. Who profits from the greatest machine of commerce, Who does that? Who does that? Parts... Oh, was there another thing? What about this one over here? Regency and emergency powers. In a time of political upheaval, there are provisions in place for a staged transfer of power, designed with 3 goals in mind. The first is the minimization of incentive for coup. There is no predetermined person or position within the government that is scheduled to take on that mantle of regency during a time of crisis. Instead, a regent is chosen by parliamentary accord. This serves to avoid promoting a path of derelict ascendancy, and to discourage those who would scheme for such a turn of events. It is the assumption of our governing documents that such a legislative body will always have the wisdom to see through the would-be usurpers. The second is the assurance of stability for the commons during and after the transitional phase. During an interregnum while a regent rules the land, there are categories of laws and decrees that cannot be altered without a majority vote from Parliament. Thus, daily life for the people will not change dramatically when during the time of regency, or shift drastically once a proper heir takes up the throne up. Because, takes the throne up would be the... Anyway. Third, and perhaps most important, is that a worthy successor is found. In order to rule out hasty action and to maximize stability, there will be no term limit or duration applied to the period of regency. Historically, rash decisions have been greatly contested, resulting in extended political turmoil or outright conflict. When the proper heir is found and the position is filled by someone worthy of the role, all others will fall in and provide their support. That sounds very naive, honestly. Ports of Call. Potterstead, Bristol. A small town, but the locals are charming and the ale is unmatched. Be certain to visit during the month of winds for their Pennant Festival. Capital P, capital F. Dunwall, Bristol. Notes on the capital city could fill a dozen such volumes. All delights exist in Dunwall if you've got the coin, and all miseries if you're broke. Unless you're well connected through someone in Dunwall Tower, one of the key families, the City Watch or River Patrol, make sure your permits are in order. Otherwise, you're likely to have your cargo seized by the port authorities for any reason they care to concoct. Kilkenny, Morley. While the harbor master here is particular about the kind of goods you're carrying, the rest of the town is more lax. Be sure to visit the Inn on the Rock, capital I, capital R, for the best mutton stew in all the Isles. Mutton stew, why would you eat mutton like that? That is terrible. Although, if you remove the bones, I suppose that's less terrible. Yarrow Tivia. The cold here will snatch the breath from your lungs, but it is met in equal strength by the civility of its well-mannered citizens, who I assume never put their elbows on their table when they're eating, and that's why they're well-mannered. The cozy taverns are kept warm by their famously crafted iron staves. Actually, it's stoves, but O's and A's look very similar. Though the northern food takes some adjustment. Bejeweled aristocrats laugh and drink side by side with weathered, leathery-skinned farmers, clapping one another on the back until the dim hours. It is hard to make a friend here, or to truly understand the worldview of the native born. But once you do, you'll have a friend for life. Because if you don't, you're not friends with them. Kaluro, Serkonos. This city is crowded in the warmer months, and for a good reason. You'll find yourself shoulder to shoulder with scantily clad locals and... Scantily doesn't... Yeah, scantily means barely, right? Because scantily clad usually... It's similar to scandal. Like, it sounds similar to scandal, but it isn't at all. Scantily clad just means barely dressed. Or barely wearing any clothes. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just used to hearing it in different contexts, and I was like, that's not what it means, but it is what it means. You'll find yourself shoulder to shoulder with scantily clad locals and foreigners on holiday, pale skin burned pink by the sun. Locals and foreigners, that's the definition of everyone in the entire world. Why do you say pale skin burned by the sun? There are people who don't have pale skin. Locals or foreigners. I don't know if... Either way, which somehow seems larger and brighter in Serkanos. The food in Colero is a shining example of Serkanan cuisine, and there is always music, always dancing. Hand-rolled on steps of tobacco shops, the cigars are of course fresher than the ones you have had shipped to other parts of the Empire. Karnaca Serkanos. The jewel of the south at the edge of the world, capital J, capital S, capital E, capital W. The city is bustling with industry, after a wave of settlers from Morley, and an influx of wealthy trading companies from Dunwall. Everywhere you go in Karnaca, there are new ideas, hybrid forms of music, groundbreaking theories of natural philosophy, and even extravagant delicacies made by mixing ingredients from all the known cultures. The locals work tirelessly for their coin, welcoming the elite from across the Isles. This sounds like it was written by those so-called elite from across the Isles. Anyway, hello.
Begging your pardon, Dowd, but I don't think it's safe to leave these overseers holed up in the refinery.
It's a new game now. They know where to find us. We just have to make them afraid to.
They're not afraid to die for their 7 strictures.
Them? No. But the men who give the orders are a different breed.
All the same, I'd better give them a hand, just in case the prisoners try anything.
Indeed. There's Burks. The Royal Spymaster. A book from the main game about that guy that sucked.
They say he let Rothwild live. Is Dowd getting soft?
Rothwild's not coming back anytime soon. You should spend more time thinking about your form.
Anytime you think I'm a little soft, you're welcome to come by my office. Bring a blade.
Because, you know, just to see if the blade cuts, because if you're hard, the blade doesn't cut.
Taking prisoners is exactly the sort of thing I'm talking about.
You don't have to remind me.
Dowd, ever vigilant, I see. Are we leaving soon to Brigmore?
Interesting times, gentlemen. Overseers in the flooded district. Witches abroad in the city. Traitors in the ranks. I'd be nervous too. Then I'd remember who killed the Empress in Dunwall Tower and came out untouched.
Money. The Knife of Dunwall, a survivor's tale. Gentle reader, be assured that your coin is well spent today. What you read here may one day preserve your life and your sanity. No one has seen the Knife of Dunwall, capital K, capital D, and lived to tell of it. Until now. The sun was setting, a bloody stain against the sky, silhouetting the noble contours of Rothwild's slaughterhouse. The stench of blood, the flesh of men and whales, soured the air. Dowd slithered from the sewers, his body slick with gore and crawling with vermin that no mortal man could have tolerated. His shadow stretched out before him on the ground, and it revealed his true nature, a horned thing warped by heresy, a shape too terrible to put into words, my gentle readers. A sorcerer from the void, without question. I could hear the moans of the dying workers he left in his wake, but he did not even pause to acknowledge their plight, for his heart is colder than Tevian ice. Instead, he let out a guttural howl of victory, the shock of which snuffed out the life of those poor dying workers, and then he bounded away, moving from roof to roof back toward the streets. And this was where I thought this chapter would end until I heard the music. The grinding metal music of the overseers echoed from the nearby alleyways, and I knew there would soon be a fight. With only my sense of duty to the fallen citizens of Dunwall to keep my fear from overtaking me, I inched closer to the mouth of the alley for a better vantage. A brave contingent of overseers had captured one of Dowd's lieutenants lurking in the alley. He or she, for I could not tell beneath the thick leather of the industrial whaler suit, or ask, was prone and tied with sturdy ropes, surrounded by overseers. But their fixation was ultimately their undoing. Dowd fell from above, moving through the air as easily as a falcon. I swear it upon my spirit. Without sound, he glided down among them, and the music maker was the first to die as Dowd tore the man's head from his shoulders. The wretched song faded in a discordant wail. Then I watched as the most notorious assassin of our time became a flurry of leather, metal and blood, deflecting bullets and sword blades with ease. The last overseer, no doubt consumed with terror at seeing his brothers fall so easily, sank to his knees and begged for mercy. Dowd spoke a single word that made my entrails squirm in my belly upon hearing it. The overseer shrieked like a madman until his mask split in twain, as though struck by some hammer and chisel, and a stream of blood gushed forth from the crack, bathing Dowd's boots. I closed my eyes at that point, too overwhelmed to witness any further atrocity. I could only hope that if that foul heretic discovered me next, my life would end swiftly. But when I opened my eyes, Dowd was nowhere to be seen. That was the last I ever saw of the Knife of Dunwall, capital K, capital D. So, should you or anyone you love witness some misshapen shadow fall across your path, or should you hear the slightest rumor of dark words whispered from the rooftops, then flee. Flee with all haste. Just flee. Just go. In any direction, really. Any direction will do. It's the fleeing that counts. You got 2 out of 2.
This will hold while we're away. Anything short of cannon fire.
Let's hope it won't come to that.
Cannon fire? Yeah. Yeah. More money.
Corvo's out there, Dowd. It's a matter of time before he shows up here.
He's got the Lord Regent's army to chew through first.
What are you going to do when Corvo arrives?
He won't make it past the Weepers and the river crusts. The city's changed since he was the royal protector.
If Corvo...
Enough about Corvo. You should be preparing for Brigmore.
As you wish. If Corvo...
Ha! I was spamming F, and he said that because they didn't cancel his lines. They just made him disappear. Oh, this place looks good.
I've made a mess of the access ways, but it had to be done. If I come back, I'll take it all down.
We'll be back. And then you can burn those overseer drapes while you're at it.
Mm-hmm. Some ingots. I do like some ingots. Collect blueprint. I did collect blueprint. I did other thing. Did I get all the stuff? I think I did. I think there's nothing here. Man, we're good at this. Excuse me.
Thomas finished his scouting run. When you've talked to him, I'll give you the latest word from inside the prison.
Is that where we're going? Or is that the prison from the beginning of the game? Of the main game, that is. The Isle of Circus, the Whalers. Yep. We read that in the previous DLC. What are you looking at? Thomas's journal. Our troubles began with a name, Delilah, a mystery given to Dowd by the face he sees in his dreams and whose voice he hears when kneeling at the shrines hidden in the lost parts of the city. None of us have ever heard this voice, but we know its power. It spoke to our master, telling him of his coming doom and saying that solving this riddle was the only way to escape. We knew nothing of Delilah, except that we found a whaling ship by that name. A tenuous connection, but where the outsider's word is concerned, there are no coincidences. We discovered the ship was named after a woman who once walked the halls of Dunwall Tower with Jessamine Caldwin. Later she became a painter, an apprentice of Sokolov himself, until she snared an aristocratic patron named Arnold Timsh. We met with Timsh's niece, who offered us information on Delilah in exchange for eliminating her uncle. Removing aristocrats was our specialty, so our master agreed. With Barrister Arnold Timsh gone, his niece divulged everything she knew. Delilah was much more than a painter, and she was hiding in the old Brigmore manor outside the city. But by then we were too late. Delilah anticipated our threats. For some time she had been working her corruptive influence on the best of us, the assassin Billy Lurk. Delilah turned Lurk against us, and together they sold us out to the overseers. When we returned to our hideout in the flooded district, we were swarmed by gold masks and hounds. But Dowd is quick and wise in our trade. In the end, he kept us alive, though there were losses. Now our resources are strained. Some of the men are grumbling. I see the strain on Dowd's face. Killing the Empress, handing over her daughter over. Those are not easy burdens to bear, and Lurk's betrayal weighs on him heavily. His sleep is troubled by curses and shouts. Now we make preparations to strike back at Delilah. She is planning something in Brigmore, something that affects everyone in the Isles, and she will be expecting us. Like our master, she shares her gifts from the outsider with those who follow her. How many are they, I wonder? I have no secrets from my master. My loyalty is without question, but I fear these may be the last days of the Whalers, perhaps the last days of Dowd. Are you for real?